Hi everyone, Anthropology 1150 World Cultures Through Film. This is our fourth webcam in which we will review Unit 2 and preview Unit 3. Um, Good morning, I'm speaking to you from Quito, Ecuador, actually right now. I'd turn the camera around, let's see if you can see any of the mountains up there. I don't know if that's coming through. Kind of a cool view from my friend's house here. So first thing I should tell you, since I am traveling, right now I have access to email, but from tomorrow, June 15th, Wednesday, through Saturday, June 18th. I'm going to be traveling in northern Ecuador and southern Colombia. And I might not have daily access to email. So just so you know, that might be an issue in the next couple of days. If you have any concerns, you can email me. I just can't guarantee I'll write you back right away. But definitely also include Molly Beyer, the course IA instructional assistant. Her email is on the course syllabus. Email her as well, and she'll get back to you right away. Okay, if there's any issues with anything in the course. Okay, great. So quiz number 3. First off, let me just say how happy I am that only 3 of you didn't take it, right? I mean, this is wonderful. Our participation rate is growing. You got the message from the last quiz, and it looks like almost everyone took it. So that makes me very happy. I also noticed that the majority of you, almost everyone, took the quiz twice, right? So you hopefully improved on it the second time, improved on your score, and did better, and got a higher average. That makes me happy as well. Just want to go over, I think, 4 different questions that some people struggled with. The first one being the mind-body dualism, right? I threw that in there kind of just to play with you. When you say something like mind-body dualism, I think it sounds kind of exotic, right? Dualism is this highfalutin academic term. Um, and I threw that in to just check, make sure you're doing the reading. In fact, this is about Euro-American society, the North Atlantic society, Western thought, however you want to define it, right? The place that supposedly doesn't have culture, right? Well, mind-body dualism is very much cultural, right? And it's the opposite of holism. In many other societies around the world, not all by any means, but many societies, there's not a notion of the mind and the body being separate, right? You've probably heard about this in different, like Ayurvedic medicine and different forms of healing and health, in which you don't just treat the body, you also treat the mind. You treat the entire being, right? Which brings us to a related question that some of us struggled on, the concept of self, right? The concept of self is by no means a universal notion. Again, it's something that's mostly identified with Western societies, North Atlantic, Euro-American, however you want to define it. Not to say that societies in Africa, Asia, indigenous Americas don't have a concept of self. Many certainly do. But you also find this other notion of the idea of one's whatever I am or this thing is, being connected to other people. So this one concept we covered, individualism, which you find in India and parts of Melanesia and so forth, in which someone considers whatever this, I don't want to say self because it's not really self. Self refers to one discrete kind of body person, right? But this notion of identity, of being, is connected to other people, right? So whatever I am is connected to the things I've exchanged with you. Our social relations have determined who we are as human beings, right? It's not just about this body and person acting discreetly, right? But rather about the interactions between me and those people in which make me up as a person, right? And then that connects to another question that some people struggled with on individualism, not being a cosmology, right? So remember, cosmology is a little bit different than this other notion, this conversation about the self. The self is more cultural and personality, the kind of that realm of things. Cosmology has to do with this question of where do we come from, right? Every society, every cultural practice on Earth has some sort of definition of where we come from as human beings, right? Yeah, so we'll leave it at that. Individualism isn't a philosophy of where we come from, right? That's the theory of creationism. That's the theory of evolution. Those are theories. Those are suggestions. Those are narratives that tell us where we come from, right? Individualism is kind of more about how do we define ourselves as beings, right, in relation to other people and so forth, right? So that's a little bit different. Okay, and then finally, arguably the hardest question on this quiz number 3 covering unit 2 is the one in which I asked you to identify, what is it, the least the weakest critique of culture and personality, right? Because culture and personality, remember, is this theory that comes from Ruth Benedict, early 1940s anthropology, saying the Japanese are like this, the Americans are like that, right? Which is kind of fun. We all do it, right? I mean, but it borders on the stereotypical and the ethnocentric, right? So it certainly has some problems to say that Americans are this way, Japanese are that way, and so forth and so on. So the right answer was partially okay, right? You know, according to Indian people, I forget the rest of it, right? But so you're asking Indian people to define themselves. That's good, right? That's not ethnocentric from the outside, right? That's not the problem with culture and personality. The problem is defining whatever the essence of Indian society is. That's actually kind of reaffirming culture and personality. That's not a critique of culture and personality theory, right? So this notion that there is an essence is what Ruth Benedict did, and that was really a problem, okay? So the stronger challenges to the culture and personality theory come much more from talking about the fact that Indian society isn't one thing. You can have cooperation and competition within the same group of people, right? You can have history being an impact. The fact that there's external groups. The British have greatly defined what is Indian, right? Through 18th and 19th and early 20th century colonialism, right? So there is no internal core to a group of people, right? We're constantly being shaped and reformed according to our relations with outsiders, right? And therefore, there is no internal essence to whatever group you belong to, okay? Okay, very good. Okay, so that's Unit 2. We'll have your papers graded very soon. Hope you enjoyed doing those. Hope you enjoyed the movies from this unit. This set of films are my favorite, right? Particularly the Latin American group, right? If you got the chance to see the Lesson 7 film, right? That's really just a beautiful film about the Mayan people. Even if you're not in the Latin American group, I strongly encourage you to go look up their Unit 7, or sorry, Lesson 7 film, which really does a great job of talking about cosmologies. All right, moving into Unit 3 now. We have 3 discussions, 1 paper, and 1 test in this unit. So I think it's a little bit lighter on the work. The discussion is probably less labor intensive than other things, right? So in this unit, we're switching from talking about a group of people from within to between, right? How do these relationships between groups form who we are? And can we compare groups, right? In this unit, we suggest that yes, you can compare on the basis of political structure and economic structure in a given society, right? And what's unique about this unit is that I'm asking you to play games, all right? So hopefully you enjoy them. There is some learning involved in these games. They're probably not really like that much fun compared to the video games you play at home. But the whole point is for you to try to experience, right? To put yourself in the role of these different kinds of giving societies, different political structures, and so forth, right? So in lesson 8, right now, sorry for being late, by the way, on the webcam. In this one, you're trying to put yourself in a society in which prestige is produced through giving, right? Not through accumulating, right? Not through having things, but rather through giving things, right? And exchanges. That's how prestige is accrued. And then in the next lesson, lesson 9, you'll play a game about how to escape the feudal order. So you'll be a peasant working underneath a feudal landlord structure and think about that. And think about your own life. I mean, I imagine many of you are tenants, right? So think about your relationship to your landlord in that situation, right? And then third, in lesson 10, you'll become a Wall Street worker, right? And so think about how Wall Street, what happens in this game, right? The kind of exploitation of the Wall Street worker is a model for what's happened to the corporate worker, not only in the United States, but kind of the multinational global corporate world, in which the worker has become very dispensable, right? Very flexible, right? Very temporary, right? So that's what I want you to think about in lesson 10. In particular, I think this is a great unit because there's 2 films that deal right here with contemporary issues in the United States. One deals with kind of Wall Street in 2008 and what happened to our economy. And then the other one about Detroitopia, about Detroit and what happened to Detroit in the wake of 2008 and how their economy has collapsed and their city has deteriorated because of that. So I think 2 really interesting films amongst, I think there's 5 films to watch in this unit. Keep in mind that lesson 11 has 2 films to watch. Detroitopia, about kind of the post-industrial American city, and then Coding Culture, about who benefits from a globalized economy, particularly talking about software engineers in India. All right, so that's Unit 3. Like I said before, if you have any questions, you can write me, but I might not respond until Sunday, the 19th. But you could also write Molly Byer, the IA for the course, and she will definitely get back to you right away. All right, take care. Have a good mid-June. Also keep in mind that we're halfway through the course, right? So you're halfway there. Hopefully it hasn't been too painful. All right, take care.